get absorbed in, and you are Sonic.
What's up, everybody? I'm Taylor Olmstead, and I want to welcome you back to No Repeat, a podcast where we pick 3 songs every week with no repeats and no do-overs to create a perfect playlist for every occasion life throws at you. Joining me are my co-hosts, Tyler Reed.
Is this where I'm supposed to cry?
And Sean Evans.
Come on, Secret, it's for Eurovision.
The elves have gone too far.
The elves have gone too far!
Spoiler alert, there's a lot of Eurovision in our future, but that's not this week's challenge. Tyler, what was our challenge this week?
Hey everybody, this week we're challenged to find the perfect song for feeling catharsis, or sad songs that make you happy. Sent in by friend of the show, Angry Tetris. If you want to submit your own challenge, you can DM us at NoRepeatPod on Instagram and Twitter, or you can always send your submissions to our email, norepeatpod@gmail.com. Thanks so much.
Not gonna lie, this is a really good challenge to follow up our Independence Day America special. Nothing like feeling sad and happy at the same time, especially in 2020. That is truly the vibe of the year. I shot from the hip this week. The challenge came down and I knew exactly what I wanted to do. So I don't have a whole lot to say here. What did you guys do to pick your songs?
Wow, I went to my Spotify liked playlist and I just went through it.
Is there a lot of sad music in your liked playlist, Sean? Do you listen to a lot of sad songs?
I don't know, maybe like 60-40. 60 happy, 40 sad. Not all sad, though.
Could be a little melancholy.
I looked for, like, the coolest melancholy song that I had.
See, that's what I was kind of thinking based on your song. I was like, Sean really kind of went for, like, kind of like a vibey, like a wistful song. A song that's wishing for something or wanting something to be better or, like, things could be different. That's kind of the vibe I kind of got from your pick.
If I'm gonna be sad, I'm gonna win at being sad. I'm gonna be the saddest winner.
I am the best sad. Nobody outsads me.
I'm Get out of here if you're sadder than me.
Tyler, how'd you pick this week?
So I had a pretty specific methodology, right? I think, unlike a lot of weeks where I feel like I choose a song that's actually sad but sounds happy, and I didn't want to just choose another song that was like just the inverse of that. You know, I don't really think it's like a ska situation kind of song, right? I feel like that's not really what this song was about or what this challenge was about. I think it was like a song that was by and large sad. You know, there is not it is a message that is not necessarily positive, right? You know, like, so a sad song, we know what a sad song is, right? But through either, like, the catharsis of, like, feeling sad and embracing that sadness, and then sort of, like, getting the joys you sort of feel, and, like, feeling like you're not alone, feeling like there's someone that can, like, that resonates with you, like, a message that feels right, or, like, an event that might have happened, or, like, something that, like, sort of, like, there's, like, a positive memory associated with that song. And so that's kind of, like, where I was going.
Yeah, I think that's probably similar to the rationale that made me immediately jump to the song that I did. You know, there are a lot of sad songs in my library. I would say my ratio is maybe a little higher than Sean's, maybe 50-50, because I do enjoy a sad song or a melancholy evening where I listen to a bunch of sad songs. It's just something, you know, occasionally you just want to have some vibes, and that's okay. But there's a really interesting thing where, like, certain songs, like Tyler was saying, have like a catharsis element to them, like you're moving through the sadness. And there are a couple of songs that I think make me feel that way. And I picked the one that came first to mind that wasn't from an artist that we've already, like, beaten with a dead horse on this podcast. Because I do think sometimes we over-rely on artists, particularly ones that have emotional connections to us. And so I wanted to pick somebody that maybe the listeners haven't heard of, but a song that fits that sentiment and that, despite being very sad, kind of has some progression to it. Feels like maybe it's the tail end of the sadness, like you're emerging from a sad period. And also just a good beat. A good beat on a sad song goes a long way. I think that's really underrated because a lot of people assume sad song means slow, dirgy, like just a piano and vocals. But you can totally write a dance song with some funk to it, or with a dance beat, or with some movement. Like, I think that's totally fair game.
Yeah, but for those listening at home, just so you wanted my ratio of sad to happy songs, it's probably like 10 sad, 10 songs total. It's like Very low. You know, I don't really go out. I don't really seek it out on purpose, except for like sort of like the artist that I chose was sort of like found within like a time where I was really seeking out that sort of sound, that sadness, and found like a lot in there. So I feel like my choice was really obvious at the end of the day. I just kind of picked the one that was like, this is sort of what kicked it all off, and it really like made me like be able to appreciate a genre that I previously had like, sort of written off.
Well, with all that being said, who wants to go first this week?
I'll go first this week.
All right, Sean, what'd you bring?
So this week I chose Ghost Ride by Crumb.
Keeps me on automatic. Press my face up close against the glass. I see the people when they pass, they move so automatic. You wake up when I go down, the radio reminds me I'm alive. We've been hearing it all night.
Besides having oddly enough the perfect length of song, which is just over 2 minutes, it does fit the vibe of having like this cool, easy, relaxing drum beat with this slightly awkward chorus, but it feels like smooth and kind of moves, which is something that I feel like as I've grown older and had to deal with sadness on like an adult level, instead of it being like all consuming, that it kind of happens. And because sadness has like transformed into like this emotion that I have that's like reactionary, into this feeling that I don't know if you guys feel like this, but you almost kind of revel in a little bit, like because it almost takes a new form of like sadness as a form of experience rather than sadness as a form of like being. But I think that this song is very much just like sadness of the moment, and kind of sadness as you kind of like transform. There's sadness and you live it in the moment, and then you kind of like transform from it as an experience. I also think I like this song because it's very like lo-fi, bedroomy, chill pop shoegaze. It basically surmises like the current state of emo for me as well, and how it's like transformed. And when you see this band live, it's basically like a couple of very little synths with like a guitar and a bass and like a simple drum set. It just kind of, for me, summarizes what the emotional vagueness that sadness kind of inhabits as an adult. For me personally, it has changed from like something that is mournful into something that is like developmental. I hope that it stays that way, but like right now, that's kind of how it works for me.
I had completely forgotten about American football. I was like, oh, that is a really sad band. Like, I was thinking about like, I can't believe I didn't even think of like the emo spectrum, which is hilarious.
Yeah, I didn't go there either.
I didn't even think about it. That's such an overtly sad. Maybe because I feel like, in a way, maybe emo is sort of like a genre that sort of like is like sort of like a hyperbole of the sadness. Like, it almost feels like it's over the top. It feels like it's really like
Yes.
performing the sadness. Maybe not that their emotions aren't real, but just that they're really making you feel it that way. I don't know, but that's not what Sean's song is.
Well, the thing that comes to mind for me is, I don't know where this phrase came into my head, but totalizing sadness. Like, I feel like when you're a teenager and you are feeling sad, it is the only emotion that you can experience. And because you have relatively diminished responsibilities, you have so much more time and so much more hormonal energy to just pour into that sadness. Where, like, as an adult, once you've ended puberty, your hormones are slightly more under control, and you have like a job and like stuff to do. You can't just wallow in that sadness, and the stuff of life kind of becomes a healthy distraction from the sadness, right? Like, yes, you're sad, but you still got to get up and go to work. And so I think this song and the way Sean described it is really interesting for this challenge of sad songs that make you feel happy, because some days you're just not feeling it. Some days you're kind of sad, but you still gotta go out there and make rent, you know? And
right.
I think this song expresses that emotion really well, and also has enough drive to it that I could like put it on my commute, and it would be like a soothing warm blanket as I make my way into work.
Right. I think that's what I really wanted to go for here. Was I wasn't looking for a song that was particularly like I could have. I don't want to say the easy route. I could have taken the easy route and picked like AFI or The Used or something that was very like emo back in the day. But I like chose to go with something that was modern, a little more upbeat, with the sense that like it's not that like I feel that sadness consumes me, but it's more so that it's like, not to sound cliche, but as a person who's like a massive lived experiences now, you know, like you can kind of look back fondly on like, okay, so like that breakup was really sad, but at the same time, you got a lot out of it. Like it almost was sad because it was happy, you know? Or like you look back, not in a nostalgic way, but like I felt like early summer is really difficult for me because I feel like when I look back on the past, I've had like some very positive experiences with summers, and it wasn't necessarily because I was like in a good place. Right? Like when everybody has these feelings like when you're in your like early 20s and stuff and you're doing like broke stuff, you know? Like I was telling Sarah the other day that when I was about ready to go to graduate school and I was living in Akron, and I was just like basically like 4 days a week, I would just ride my bike to the store and buy like hummus and baked pretzel buns and like a 24-ounce beer and go to the park and just eat my saddest meal in the park in like the blazing heat, and then ride home and like fall asleep,
God,
watch
that
some
sounds
TV,
amazing.
and then like
I realize
but
that was probably a very
in hindsight,
sad time.
right? In hindsight, it sounds so happy, but like I remember at the time it wasn't like a joyous part of my life, but like, you know, everything was a little bit simpler. Like I didn't mind, like you could sit on the bench outside of the grocery store and like talk to somebody waiting for the bus, you know, and it was sad because you realize that you're like broke and you're trying to squirrel away all this money and just like get ready for the next part that's going to happen. But at the same time, when you look back on it, it was a little bit happier of a time, I guess. Not really though. Odd. It's odd.
I mean, similarly, I remember a time when I was just starting like my big important job that I was doing, and I just felt so like alone all the time because, you know, I like my schedule was kind of irregular, so I never knew like what exactly days I would get off. And I remember like I'm just like, okay, it's day of the week, I have the day off, I'm just gonna go get barbecue by myself and sit at like a picnic table by myself and just eat it. Because, and it's not like, I mean, sure, there's like, it's overwhelmingly sad that I felt very sad because I was like, God, I just wish I had someone to like do this with, or because like I don't really like to just do shit on my own. I don't really like, I think things are best experienced with others, especially food. But, you know, so like I just ended up just like eating this thing because like this is a simple comfort I get because, you know, like I'm not like eating my feelings, but I'm just like, this is something nice I can do for myself, even though I'm just like, I just don't know like what to do with my day, just trying to be productive somehow. So I feel that a lot. I feel like we didn't really talk about the song at all, but I just to follow up, or just to finish it off, I do think that this is because that's right, because I actually had something good to say, because this feels like we were talking about like emo, like when you're sad as a kid, it feels like you're like Super Saiyan sad. It's just like you're just so like overpowered and so overwhelming. But I feel like Sean is targeting specifically like the kind of sadness that's like, I have to still, like kind of what Taylor's saying, it's like I still gotta do my job. Like I'm like a little sad. Like I feel like when you're a kid, it's like it's an off and on switch. But like when you're like an adult, you kind of have like a dial. Like you can dial in like I'm a little, and like I feel like this one is like not like suit like 11 sad. It's like 5 sad. It's like my day could have been better. I'm gonna lay on the floor.
No, I think I wanted to channel this like. I think there's like a uniqueness of like it's like sadness in hindsight that I've been feeling. It's not like of the moment. Like it's almost like a little bit of grateful sadness in a certain sense, because it's like I don't have to feel this anymore. Like when you have to try so hard to be happy, you know, and now it's just like it kind of is on its own. It's like once you, I don't know how to, it's like when you do something really hard and after it's done, you forget all the time where it was like extremely painful, and like it's like camping when you're an adult. You know, like when you were a kid, you were just like, you remember all the times you got frostbite and how tired you were and stuff. But as an adult, you just remember like the fondness that you have, like all of the all of the pain and negativity is kind of like washed away. And now you kind of like revel in the hardship a little bit, because it was like you realize that as personal growth wise, that it made you like feel stronger. It helped you in some way. So
Well, I think that's actually the perfect segue into my song, if I can go next.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Loser.
So my song this week is Good Grief by Dessa.
They say there's good grief, but how can you tell it from the bad? Maybe it's only in the fact. Good grief's the one that's in your past. They thought my best wasn't good enough. Usually it is. And the air got a little rough. Took out the fuselage, the engine, and both wings. But I'm willing to work for this. Just show me what it did, and I'm ready to hurt for this.
So Dessa is a singer, rapper, performer, and member of the Minneapolis hip-hop collective Doomtree, who are awesome and you should absolutely check out. Good Grief is a song off of her debut solo album, Chime, and it immediately stood out to me on that record for the emotional depth that she shows, which is considerable because the whole record is really emotional, but this song in particular really digs deep. The beat is great. I think the nice kind of quiet, subdued organ and keys really stays low enough in the mix that the emotion of her performance really comes through. And she is like owning this performance in a way that makes me really happy, and the beat is so good that it makes me happy. But the message of the song is quite sad, and I think fits with our previous discussion, where she says, they say there's good grief, but how can you tell it from the bad? Maybe the only good grief is the grief that's in your past. And I think that's a really profound message, right? You are better for having gone through the grief, but in the moment, it is not good. And that expression that we use, good grief, like, it's kind of unhelpful. And I think she does a really good way. She does a good job of dissecting the weird contradictions of grief and sadness in this song in a way that still feels not overwhelmingly sad. And the reason that I picked it this week is that I spent some time with my uncle this weekend, and we had some conversation about family and memories and stuff, and talking about family members who have passed. And it's like Sean was saying, you know, you don't remember the years and years and years that your relative was sick with a terminal illness. You remember all the great memories with them, right? You remember the fun times. And after the immediate moment of the loss, I feel like the good grief is the like wistful remembering of those things and telling stories around the campfire and celebrating in a way. And I think Dessa does a really good job of conveying that emotion here. And it's just a beautiful song. So that's why I picked it.
Just want to say she had a lot of audacity to just steal that classic line from Charlie Brown. All I'm saying. You know, but I think that she probably... I think this is a good usage of that phrase, though. I think really kind of like... I can't get past it, but I think it's such a good phrase for like kind of what the song is about and kind of what you described. So like, I'm willing to let it go. I think the choral elements that kind of pop in the song, I think are really needed. Because I mean, really, I would say the song is a standard level of like electro pop, dance pop. You know, I think that it is good. You know, like I think that at like a base level, it has a good level of production. You know, I don't have any problems with any of that. You know, the synths and everything really sound good together. I mean, it's good. I just don't know if I feel overwhelmingly sad about the song. Like, it doesn't, I don't know. But I guess that's kind of like the zone that we were kind of talking about. Is like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a song that's like overwhelmingly sad. A song doesn't have to be like a wave, like an avalanche of sadness. This is probably like a step up from Sean's song. It's a much more intense, but not like a overpowering. I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about this one. I don't think I had enough time to digest this. But I've heard of Dessa. You recommended her a while ago. I've generally enjoyed it. So
she's right up your alley for sure.
You guys both picked like breakup songs.
I don't think this is necessarily about a breakup, but okay.
Oh, you know it is.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's more about death, which is in some ways sadder.
It's the kind of good, sexy grief. you know you love the sexy songs. You love the sexy grief.
I mean, whatever you want to call it, Sean.
It is kind of sexy. It's
It's a hot song.
Elaborate.
It's like-
What does that mean?
I mean, like it's like up down tempo a little bit, you know, like a little hot drum and bass action, some chorusy lyrics. I mean, yeah.
There's a flame tornado in the music video. It's
I didn't see that part, but
at the end.
oh, okay. But I mean, like, yeah, it's like this is very feelsy. I think that you guys did a good job of picking songs that were like, I don't know, maybe I kind of punted a little bit that mine wasn't like specifically emotional to a particular relationship. But I mean, Tyler's is definitely a relationship song. We're not even gonna pretend like it's not. This is kind of like the
so let's
perfect
just-
middle between like my like existential crisis and Tyler's like
Tyler's getting dumped.
pointed, right, his like pointed breakup song, but like no, I think this is really good. I don't recall you ever recommending Dessa either.
I feel like I name dropped her on a Billy Joe Armstrong's Middle School Notebook. Quick plug, support us on Patreon and you get a bonus podcast every month where we talk about other music we listen to outside the show.
It was definitely during the time when if you liked an album on Spotify, it saved the whole album into your likes. So it was a while ago. So it was probably about 2 years.
Because the whole album is in your likes now?
Yeah. So it's probably about, it came out in 2018, so it probably was 2 years ago.
I discovered it a little bit late, so it was probably last year.
Sure.
I'm just saying, you don't hear it here, but she can rap. Like, her flow here is pretty laid back, but on some of the Doomtree like group stuff, she is spitting fire.
I don't know, it feels so wasn't sure if I wanted to talk about that, but I feel like the rapping, like I wasn't sure about it because I feel like I don't want to deny that she has a skill, you know. Aside from that, I'm like curious about like its position in a song that's overwhelmingly sad, and it doesn't really sound like, I don't know, like I feel like there's obviously like rap can be sad, like let me be clear about that. It's just kind of like the way that it's sort of like broken into the song, like the way that it's kind of like the song kind of changes when she kind of goes into a breakdown. It kind of has a different intensity to it, like a different kind of like attitude, and it kind of like maybe that adds more dimensionality to the song. Maybe that like kind of like adds complexity to the idea that she's trying to convey. But I don't know. It just felt like, I don't know. It's a really poppy song. Like it is very like it, which is coming from me as someone who has somehow become the pop enthusiast here, the like hyper pop person, whatever.
Yeah, I don't deny that. I think this is one of the popular songs I've picked in a while, but
Yeah,
I think it's a little bit deeper than a lot of dance pop songs might be, which I think is what drew me to it. I think there's just a little more emotional depth. But enough about that. Tyler, tell us all about your broken heart. What's your pick this week?
Hey everybody, my song this week is "Night Shift" by Lucy Dacus.
Dedicated to new lovers. You got a 9 to 5, so I'll take the night shift, and I'll never see you again if I can help it.
This is actually the first song that I ever heard by her and really turned me on to her. She kind of, so it's her, but she also has like a backing band. And so what she does really well is that I think that she sort of takes like the singer-songwriter format, sort of sad girl genre, and sort of like elevates it in a really interesting way. Because like, I feel like we all kind of know the format for like a like traditional like singer-songwriter. It's a person with a guitar on a stool, you know, they're just kind of strumming along, they're playing chords, they're singing, and of course like the thing you're listening for is the lyrical content, right? You're listening to what they're saying, and the guitar is more or less just a beat to kind of keep things moving along. It's sort of a vehicle for the lyrics, right? But what I think she does is she sort of elevates that, and this is sort of like kind of coming also from like the bedroom pop kind of spectrum. You know, there's kind of also people, her contemporaries also sort of have elevated this in a really interesting way. Snail Mail, which was on a previous one, Phoebe Bridgers, who just had a really great album that just came out. But they like sort of take this element, and what they do is they make it compelling by apparently just adding an electric guitar to it, but like, so it adds like the guitar adds a band, and I think it really focuses. It sort of like marries the composition with the lyrics and really makes a more compelling sort of argument for the lyrics. And it's really, really satisfying to hear someone just like really just express their feelings and also having the music that really resonates well with them. And so Night Shift is the first track off this album. Huge track, 7 minutes. It's like the Bohemian Rhapsody of sad girl music because it goes places, baby. It's up, it's down, it's fast, it's slow. There's a guitar solo. There's like some crunchy distortions. She's wailing different parts. She's like almost whispering. And I think, yeah, it's a breakup song. It's a song about a breakup, or it's about failed relationships, or it's about forlorn love. It's about a lot of things, right? But I think a reason why I picked it was I think because this is a composition that just really speaks to me. It's just so dynamic and exciting. I had actually seen her play it live, and I remember she, like, before she started playing this one, she was like, hey, like, the guy that I kind of wrote this about, like, messaged me, like, this morning, and I don't know if I'm really gonna sing this one this time. And you could feel it. And it was like, man, so, like, seeing this live and just hearing this, it just creates such, it's just so powerful. And that's why it like makes me happy, is because of that experience. And just, I think someone just so fully just like exhaling all of this like darkness inside of them. And so it's just a great song. I love it. Can't wait to hear more.
My God, you're so cute. I can't wait for you to get back out there and find somebody that you love.
Oh, I know.
You're so adorable.
Hit me up, ladies.
Isn't he cute though? He's like
so cute.
He's like a little bit if Kurt Vile, Kurt Cobain, Courtney Bennett, like the Postal Service and Nine Inch Nails all came together in like a cute little basket. And it was like lined with pansies and little succulents that like Tyler would just be sitting in there like playing marbles or something with like a cute little animal. That's exactly what this song is to him.
He's giving off like big Garden State 500 Days of Summer vibes right now.
Oh, for sure.
Hell yeah, baby.
Yes, absolutely. Need to get you some love. No,
Side note, we didn't talk about Juno. There should have been someone should have picked a song from that very problematic movie now. Anyway, continue.
Talk about a sad movie that makes you happy. No, I agree with a lot of what you said. When I first listened to this, I didn't even register how long it was, which I think is a good sign for a song that's over 5 minutes, because as we know on this show, one of the cardinal rules, if a song is over 5 minutes, it has to go somewhere. And I think that...
And no stairway.
Yes.
And I think this definitely does that. I mean, it goes somewhere in the same way that like a Phoebe Bridgers song does. And I think the difference here is that Lucy is much more cathartic than Phoebe Bridgers is. And I kind of like that for her. I like that energy. I really like it for this song. That title line where she says, "You have a 9 to 5, so I'll take the night shift." It's very much that like avoidance stage of the breakup. Where you're
my God, I've chills already.
You're moving on with your life, but you also don't want to see this person, and you're going to like change your routine so that you don't run into them. And it's like, yeah, girl, get away. Get that toxicity out of your life. You don't need it. And you root for her by the end when that guitar solo comes in and she's just like screaming. It's like, yes, just walk right away, Lucy. You're better than this. I really dig this song. I think it...
You don't need him. You don't need them. You can have anybody you want.
Yeah, you don't need it. I do think the beginning is a little long. I think if you were going to cut anything, you could cut a little bit off the beginning. It's what makes the ending so gratifying. So all in all, I think it's a great song. I think it totally fits this. Like, you start sad, you end happy. You just want to sing along. It's super cool.
I agree. I think there's a very rare instance where a song over 5 minutes actually justifies its existence, and this is one of them. And I agree with the apt allusions to... I hesitate to call it like sad girl rock, but like as a huge fan of that genre, I guess if that's what we want to call it, because one of my B-sides is a Snail Mail song, so...
Hell yeah, dude.
Like I just feel like it really like this genre is very prevalent in my head right now, or like the I love the lyrics of it. It kind of makes me feel like I'm a little bit of a late bloomer. That like it takes me basically into my early 30s to realize that I'm like, or late 20s really, to realize that like I have complex emotions about stuff.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, dude.
But like I'm not afraid of it. I'm not afraid anymore. These songs have taught me that it's okay. So
Cry, baby. You cry that out. You cry it out. There's crying in baseball.
Just eat some Halo Top ice cream and drink some rosé. You're gonna be fine.
ew, that stuff's as empty as my soul. All right, and with that, it's time for notable B-sides. And these are songs that were so close to explaining the depths of your emotions, but they left your heart in Ohio or something. So, anybody have some notable B-sides?
I mean, I shot from the hip, but only because I couldn't bring myself to pick New York by St. Vincent, because we have literally picked a third of that album, Mass Seduction, and we need to stop picking songs from it.
It's a good album. It's a good album. It's a good singles album. Let me just be clear. Good singles album. Self-titled, much better as a whole listen. Just saying.
Yeah.
I've already said that, though.
But
you don't need me to tell you.
New York is the sad, happy jam. New York is dancing drunk in your apartment when nobody's home, which is why I almost picked it, but I didn't. Continue.
I don't really know if I had a B-side.
Well, I think
Kyoto, baby. Kyoto by Phoebe Bridgers. Listen to that new album. It's pretty good.
I'm gonna go ahead and just recommend like all of Snail Mail, period. But I'll pick Heat Wave as a really good song for an example of an awesome good grief song. That's what this challenge should have been called. Taylor's song really like
Good grief.
just totally summarized. Was a summation? That's right. Of this exact challenge, which is like the good grief song, and it's basically pretty good. We all had good choices. I mean, mine was the best clearly because I picked it, but
Yeah, bud.
good job for like runner up.
Well, Tyler, if people want to work the night shift with you, where can they do that?
If people want to get it, you can find my design and illustration work at FruitPets.club. And as always, you can find me on the socials as FruitPets Club on Instagram and Twitter. Sometimes you say things out loud and you deeply regret them, but you can't delete a podcast.
He's a D-list celeb now.
I'm a D-list. I was on the local news. I'm important.
Well, Sean, if people want to tell you that you're important, where can they do that?
They can find me on Instagram at TellySean. I would love to hear it.
If you want to talk about Doomtree Records with me, you can find me on the socials at TC Olmstead, and all these songs will be on the official No Repeat podcast playlist on Apple Music and Spotify. We'll be back next week with another episode of No Repeat.